cette matinée, on ne va pas avoir non pas un conférencier, mais bien 5 panélistes. Donc, j'aimerais accueillir l'équipe des 5 panélistes du panel organisé par notre partenaire qu'on remercie, la BNC, pour nous parler du futur de l'industrie du jeu vidéo à l'époque de l'IA.
Bon midi tout le monde. Merci d'être à notre working lunch. I'm Sam Girardin, account manager at Banque Nationale in the creative industry group. After 23 years in the gaming industry as an entrepreneur and a studio head, I'm excited to be moderating this panel and this discussion with those gentlemen about video games and AI. National Bank is proud to announce to once again partner with EAI and contribute to meaningful conversations at the intersection of AI, technology, and creative industries. As a bank, it won't be long. As a bank deeply engaged with the ecosystem, we work with businesses of all sizes, whether in gaming, AI, and other creative fields, helping them grow with tailored banking solutions. Our team is composed of over 40 professionals across Canada, coming from creative backgrounds, and we're passionate about supporting the people and the ideas shaping the future of these industries. For that reason, we're happy to present you this panel. With that, let's dive in, and let our panelists present themselves. Nicolas.
Bonjour. Hi, everyone. So I'm Nicolas Liorzou. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Keywords Studios. Keywords is the leading and the main solutions aggregator for the games industry, so providing a full range of services from development to art, QA, localization, you name it, across, for all our clients across the globe.
My name is Eric Bellefeuille. I'm a Art Director Presentation and also UX Director. I'm working at Craft in Montreal right now. I've been in the game industry for the last 27 years, so I've seen quite a few changes in disruptive technology making its way into our reality. My background is typically, I started in graphic design in '91 from college, and then I evolved slowly toward digital media. And did a lot of, user interface for games that you might know. Deus Ex Human Revolution, work on the Mass Effect franchise, Guardian of the Galaxy, and a few more licenses. So cool project to work on. And I'm going to share with you today pretty much what I've learned and where we stand right now when it comes to process and improvement from generative AI.
Hi. I'm just a big fan of Eric, that's why I'm here. I'm Vardanian, I'm CTO of Procero. It's a small startup. We are optimizing AI models and graphics and rendering, making them go faster, use less energy, less memory, etc. And before that, my background, I was working in different gaming companies, doing research and programming, big and small. So before this, I was at CDRIN. It's a very cool research center. We were helping everybody in the gaming community to do research. And above all, I like talking with cool people on uncomfortable chairs.
C'est pas si mal que ça.
C'est pas sécure.
J'ai vu pire.
Ouais.
Moi, je vais tester le système de traduction, on va voir si ça fonctionne bien. Je m'appelle Julien Bouvrais, je travaille dans le jeu vidéo depuis un peu plus de 25 ans. Je suis passé par Ubisoft, je suis passé par Eidos. J'ai travaillé sur les mêmes jeux que toi, des fois, quand on s'est croisés à plusieurs reprises. Aujourd'hui, je travaille comme VP R&D dans un studio de jeux qui s'appelle The Believer Company. Et on se définit comme un studio AI native, ce qui veut dire qu'on regarde toutes les technologies de l'IA. Puis j'aime pas trop le terme IA parce que c'est très générique. J'aime beaucoup machine learning, apprentissage automatique. On regarde comment ces technologies-là peuvent nous aider non seulement à faire des jeux de meilleure façon, mais aussi faire des meilleurs jeux. Donc proposer des meilleures expériences et des nouvelles expériences à nos joueurs.
Merci.
La traduction n'est pas tout à fait.
Mais c'était pas si mal. C'était pas si mal.
Ça a l'air d'avoir traduit surtout en français, donc ça traduit mon français en français, ce qui est très cool.
Mais parlant de français, mes questions vont être en anglais, messieurs, mais vous pouvez répondre dans la langue de votre choix. Hein? First off, a quick one. Would you consider the video game industry a early adopter of AI?
I can take that. I think historically the games industry has always been one of the first adopters of AI and new technologies and everything. And I think across the games industry, I mean across our professionals, and there is a pretty good understanding of what AI can do. There is like I would say a very good awareness overall of the AI tools, but in terms of adoption, no, is the short answer. Because we're still limited by our capacity to be able to push that to the end products. I think we're all in the starting blocks somehow, and we want to use them, but we've not really figured out the best way to do so far. That would be my take on it.
I would be pretty much on the same line of thought. It depends on which department you're talking with. Some departments are more open to this kind of process. Also have more access to already established product that we can use to do investigation. A good example is Stable Diffusion. That is an open source system, so different companies and different studios have started to invest pretty much very early in the process to understand how they can optimize their own pipeline for texture, procedural texture and stuff like that. But overall, I would say yeah, very late on, very, not resistant, but shy of adaptation for a simple fact that industrializing internal tools, because game studios like to have their own technology. This is well known. People build their own property engine and stuff like that. So before jumping in a boat where you have access to maybe compromised data, who knows, they're a little bit more shy. So I would say not early adapter, and adoption is slower than what it should be, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it depends where you look. The whole gaming industry, I wouldn't say it's early adapter, but here in Quebec, we are lucky that there is this culture of innovation in every industry, and especially in the entertainment industry. So I've seen this adoption coming very, very early. There's this culture of research, but also it depends. The size of company, like smaller companies are more quicker to adapt, at least to try, and because if you don't really have a big pipeline that's already established, it's easier to make changes in between. So I would say, and then since the smaller ones are pushing the limits, so the big ones are adapting as well. So, and I would say, yeah, in general, like especially here, very early adapters.
Moi, je serais un petit peu plus mesuré. Donc, c'est sûr que la technologie, conceptuellement, elle existe depuis peut-être 70 ans, etc. Donc, ça a pris du temps. C'est vrai que l'IA générative, tel qu'on le connaît depuis les 2-3 dernières années, ça prend du temps à rentrer dans les studios. Il y a des enjeux légaux, il y a des enjeux éthiques, il y a des enjeux technologiques, d'adoption, etc. Mais on utilisait des technologies de machine learning, même il y a une dizaine d'années, 10-12 ans, quand on commençait à faire de l'analyse de données, par exemple, quand on récupère les data des joueurs, c'est de regarder un petit peu, de faire des analyses de où est-ce que ça s'en va. Donc je dirais qu'il y a quand même eu de l'utilisation du machine learning à l'intérieur des studios de jeux vidéo depuis peut-être 10 ans ou 15 ans. Mais c'est vrai que l'adoption est quand même un petit peu plus lente depuis qu'on a les nouvelles technologies qui sont arrivées depuis 2-3 ans, là, je dirais.
Mm. And AI is often said that it makes games faster, cheaper. Is it a myth, or is?
I think it's a myth.
Yeah?
Yeah, it takes time. I mean, at the essence, we're creators, right? And we want to provide to our players unique experience. We want to create stronger, visceral, immersion in our games and stuff like that. The trends of open world games is now stronger, growing every year. And obviously, the player wants to have more pretty much on every front, on quality, on frame rates, on performance, on behaviors from NPCs you're interacting with. Also, like having them to behave. I mean, when you met something in game, an asset that has pretty much a package of intelligence around it, you want it to start behaving really like a real human, and that's a lot of data you need to inject to an entity. So there's significant growth on that front, where the NPC development is getting very, very deep and very, I would say, reach new grounds that we were not expecting probably 5 years ago. So a good example, some games have started to balance a little bit. Let's say that you play a multiplayer game and most of the players with you are really bad at the game, really, really bad. And there's like balancing system now that will analyze players' data, and we recalibrate the difficulty organically on the spot, frame by frame, understanding the context and the quality of players involved with that content. And then there's a leverage of realignment of this kind of system. That is a reality in the video game industry right now. But there's a cost. And the thing is, the cost is how deep is the rabbit hole, how much time you have to, to dig into that realm of innovation. So obviously, there's a lot of risk assessment to be done up front. But yeah.
I would have a little bit of a different opinion on this. I think that within the same scope of a game, yes, AI has the capacity to do it better, cheaper, faster. If we were to redo today like a Pac-Man game, I could pretty much do that for free. But the scope is increasing because, I mean, games have always been, creative meets technology. And there is a constant expectation from players that we're going to have more. So the expectation is more that with the same resources, we're going to do more. But it's still better, cheaper, faster somehow, but the end product is not necessarily getting any cheaper. But then it's like, depends on what is the scope of the game to start with. If we're limiting ourselves, and we can see that on mobile games, for example, where there are definitely opportunities for contents that don't necessarily have the same expectation like the big AAA games, to do, to be able to get products out of there like at a way better, cheaper, faster type of way. So.
Yeah, I would say it depends. Like, you can do cheaper and faster even without AI. But the question is can you keep the quality the same, and on what portion you apply this cheaper and faster? If you use this ability and these tools to give the creators possibility of making more iterations on a certain thing, let's say to polish fully what they envisioned and have many versions, so you can choose, so that you can augment the quality by keeping even the same speed. You don't have to go cheaper and faster. This has much more value than just using AI for cheaper and faster. Without AI, you can do cheaper, faster.
It's a good
There's
point.
no value in it.
On the iteration part, I think this is where generative AI shines the most.
Yeah.
It's very fast. You can iterate way faster. You can obtain pretty much result that would probably take you months before, and now you can do in a matter of days. Yeah. So you have this kind of variation of result that you can investigate easily without compromising the budget. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do this one in English because apparently the translation doesn't work, so we'll do it in English.
Non, mais c'est correct, Julien. C'est correct.
That's fine. That's fine. I work in English all day long, so we can do it. But I'm quite aligned with what you said, Nicolas, about I don't think it's going to be cheaper. I think if you go in AI, just thinking that you're going to be able to do the same games but way cheaper, well, you're not going to sell more games because it's going to be, in terms of creative, it's not going to be as good as if you are actually pouring all your energy into making something really unique. So that's the approach that we've taken, for instance, at Believer. We are not a small studio. Even though we started 2 years ago, we're already 75 people. And the goal that we have is to make an even bigger game than what we would have done if we were not using AI. That's really where we're going, and I think that's where players want us to go.
So it's basically augmenting your team? Is that?
Yeah, it's basically trying to have faster iteration so you can actually make more experiments. And being assisted in a way that you were not able to before, so that maybe the part of the job that is not as enlightening you can give that to the computer instead of doing it yourself.
You all name about creators. What's their biggest opportunity using AI and making games?
I think there's a thing about, we've been talking a lot about the tools, right, to make games, and using Gen AI as a way to produce content or create like new content, which is definitely a thing, like how to power up like our creators to be able to create new content. There is also a huge opportunity in gameplay. So using, what AI offers to have more personalized experiences, to have more improvisation in gameplay, to have like tools and ways of playing that, again, can be like very, very new. And that's a super exciting, possibilities that are open up there. So.
Interesting. And as an artist?
As an artist, what I can say is, like I said, from '97 to this day, I've seen many disruptive technologies surprising us as creators. Mocap. The day mocap came into business, I've seen my friend in animation department freaking out, being very nervous, intimidated a little bit by new ways to work. And as a UX director, I know for a fact that something that humans don't like is to change the way their entire way they interact with creative pipelines and process to spark pretty much their ingenuity into a reality is always something that there's resistance. And it's a human behavior. It's normal. I mean, we learn, we go to school, some of us have been working, drawing for an insane amount of hours to master a craft that we don't want here to be diluted or eroded by technology. So the point is, what I've seen though in the last few years, and I'm one of the few artists that talks openly about, and I'm not swimming in a Kool-Aid pool of AI is everything we're wishing for. It's the genie that I was dreaming every night going to bed since childhood. We're not there. So pretty much what I'm saying is it is an extension to the creative flame. Human is the center of spark of imagination. We are stronger than big computers. We have this kind of abilities, that affinity to create worlds and world building, experience, storytelling, and stuff like that that will resonate emotionally also to people. So yes, a machine is a great thing to work with, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with that. But the thing is, we need to be an extension. We need to find, it's pretty much like, I will use a metaphor that is very simple, but it's a Batman and Robin relationship. So
who's the AI?
The AI is, it's Robin, even if he's solving everything, right? So, but the point is, the creative flame needs to be intact. And this is what resonates with people I've talked with. A lot of people came to me, and I did a few panels where we have those exchange with students. They're very nervous, and we told them it's an extension of your flame. It's not replacing you. If it's used properly, in the right context, in the right environment, with the right mindset, take the tools that are provided to you, okay? And it's pretty much like a concept artist right now. I make a character, front face and everything. My art director comes to me and was like, I want to see it on the side view. I want to see it from the back. I want to see the character from age 20 to 40 to 60 to 80. And this is where generative AI is very powerful to elevate something that was coming from a human perspective, and having this kind of blend where you're still under control on the steering wheel, how much you want to also, this is another point that people don't talk enough, but you still have the control on how much you want to delegate to the artificial intelligence to shift your product to something that is an extension of your flame.
And in this example, are we, reaching another level of quality, or we're just going faster?
We do. Both, actually.
Okay.
We've seen way more depth into the quality of example textile or lighting. Specular will have on a character, different type of shader we're going to use. Most games have notions of environmental hazard. I received I dodge a fireball. Okay. In most games, you just dodge the fireball. Now, if you dodge a fireball, but it was very close to you, you might see a little bit of heat on your armor because it was in the context and in proximity of that content. This is where we're going to go, what I call deeper and visceral experience with content will get more realistic because of context can now talk with each other very easily, where before we need like to have 4 tech to do this kind of stuff.
Eric is talking about an example like what could be, you know, in an applied situation. Can you give us any example of recent games using AI and how it's translated into the player's experience?
I mean, Blizzard use on one of their games customization. We all know monetization is part now in a new reality when it comes to return on investment on projects and stuff like that. And one of the things they did is customization is a big deal for players, especially younger audience, really like to shine, have their own personality in the content. And they can produce like an insane amount of texture and variance of a thematic. Let's say it's the dragon, the Chinese year is the golden dragon year, whatever. And then you can realign an entire set of assets based on body proportion. That's another thing. Body proportion, matching the costume, swapping them quickly, using different color tones, fibers, lighting, reflection, and stuff like that. Now it's very fast. Keep in mind that it's not replacing what was kind of there before. It's like an extension where procedural system was generating this kind of stuff, but now we raise another level of quality. It's way more advanced than we used to be.
So there are not so many games that are openly saying that they're using AI, but there are games that are starting to come up with, basically the whole idea behind that game is AI. If you take something like AI Dungeon, for instance, where basically you are in it's a text game, so it's using an LLM. But if you have enough imagination, you will know that you can basically have your own curated experience just for yourself. So it's just one example. Another one is Gran Turismo, I think 2 years ago, released a version of their opponents that is using reinforcement learning. So you can actually play against AI that has been trained to play the game for an amount of time. We are also developing, we develop an open world. It's a PvE experience. We want our NPCs to be trained through reinforcement learning as well. So we have been investing a lot in that. I think this is the beginning. If you talk about other experiences, other types of things that we can do with AI, it's not just what the players will see, but it's also the tools that we use as developers. One easy one is coding tools. Now all the models that you have available out there are not great, but are very good at coding, so you can use them as assistant. And when you do that, you can literally save, 30% or 50% of your time. Actually, what you're doing as a programmer is now different from what you were doing 4 years ago. The way you interact with the machine is different. So I think that's what is going to change with AI.
Let's talk. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
There was one cool game example I saw. I don't remember the name, unfortunately, but it was like a puzzle game. And when in the game there was some portion that you have to, let's say, you have to crack the code of the door, you have to draw the numbers yourself, and behind there's this image recognition system that was basically like a new way of playing these puzzles that was basically not really possible before, or it would be like super hard to script and code this thing. But these models are running real time on the game already. So this creates more ways of creating different gameplays. And history shows, like when you have a new medium of tools to help something was previous, artists and creators take this and make new way of creations that was not even there before, like imagine. Because when people keep iterating and experimenting, all of a sudden, like a lot of things pops up, and you never, even yourself, when you're experimenting, you were not expecting you can have this result in the end. It's just like having I will give another analogy. Let's say you're a Michelangelo with enormous amount of students. They can just you can delegate all these tasks, and then if you are not Michelangelo at the end of the day, your student's not going to help you. But if you can have this capability, but you don't have the time to try all these possibilities yourself, you delegate, you come up with some result that came from your creation, from your mind, but something much better and faster. In that case, if you keep the quality,
so Michelangelo used AI, is that what you're saying?
I would love to
Yeah, it's
see
called
him like
Leonardo AI.
Leonardo.
I'm kidding. But there's one other pattern that is interesting also is on the human behavior, on the social aspect of games. Is also like, we see some systems now that are AI driven, also like to limit the amount of toxicity we got from players. And like auto soft banning system and stuff like that is starting to be showing very promising, actually, safety net for players from a generative AI perspective.
Just there are a lot of people also trying to crack the NPCs, so the non-playable characters, to be able to have them behavioring through AI. So basically, you can have a discussion about the weather with whoever in the game. So that's kind of the one thing that is very much in sight right now for a lot of companies.
Let's talk about money.
I knew it. There comes the banker.
Yeah. How much it cost? What do you need in your studio to implement AI successfully? Do you need in-house experts, or you just ChatGPT yourself and you're going to be successful?
Depends on the studio size. I would say indie development. I mean, I'm in a small studio right now. I mean, small studio, let's be clear. The mothership is PUBG, and we're working as Krafton as a subset of, so yeah. In case you don't know, PUBG is kind of a big player in Asia. So the thing is, smaller studios will have this approach where you need to wear more than one hat. Okay. So, like myself, I'm going to do motion design, information architecture, going to do sometimes like visualization stuff for the department, stuff like that. And at the moment, with the scale, the human scale we have and the workforce we have, we do have engineers working on behaviors for pathfinding and stuff like that, which is totally on the code side. But on the creative side, then this is where we pretty much go into the road of trying to find a product that will meet our expectation. That being said, being at Ubisoft before, that's a total different ballpark. You know, they have a concept called La Forge. They have a team of research internally that are investigating. Yep. And some studios have also like those cells that are purely engineering and investigating, you know, like new opportunities to build inner tools. So, so the cost varies a lot depending on the context you're working in.
Yeah, I guess it depends a lot on what you want to achieve as well. I was lucky enough to work both at Believer and at Eidos, where we have dedicated teams that are machine learning experts that work on trying to break the walls and trying to find new ways to make the game. So if you go down that road, you might be a bit more innovative. It's going to cost a bit more. But you know, there are some things that become commodity. Basically, like I was talking about AI coding assistants. It's not cheap, but it's certainly not very expensive. Same thing if you work on generating images. We don't in our studio, but if you do that, you know, there are some tools now that are available to you. You don't need to be an expert in AI. I stumbled upon a stat which was interesting. When GPT-3 was released, I think it was 3 years ago, generating 1 million token cost about $60. Now, with an equivalent model that performs as well today, you can actually get the same result for 6 cents. Yep. It's just, the cost is just dramatically going down.
Mm-hmm. It's changing.
Also depends what part you are automating. Like if you want to have a research group in your company, of course it's going to cost, like Lafor, it's going to cost money, but you don't need to have this expert. There are research centers also, but that's not the point. Like there are some portions that are already well done, open source and like Stable Diffusion, or if you want to just localize your game or QA test it, like those portions that usually take a lot of time and like a lot of human resources and not really fun to do, those, if you automate this part, like all of a sudden a small studio can make a AAA game because you can, and you don't like for example, you can have new concept, new level design, which is automatically tested, for example, automatically staged, etc. And then the designer can choose, okay, let's go with this one. And then you skipped a whole bunch of things that would normally cost money and time. So all this, if you skip this part, yeah, it costs way less. If you invest in the research, yeah, it costs like it depends where you want to go.
There's a whole side of the games industry, like one of the indie side of the games industry, that's always been built on bootstrapping, like to start with, right? So it is part of their culture to be able to get like new tools out there, try it out, and find ways to make that cheap. And for this, AI is an awesome opportunity for them. Now it's not necessarily scalable to like the AAA scene or more the bigger games, for which there is a need still to be able to figure out how to industrialize all those AI tools. And for this, I mean, it does cost money to be able to build it up. All the big players are investing very big bucks, like in trying to figure out like the best solutions to do so. And again, it's not necessarily about what are the tools out there, but how to integrate them into their pipeline, into real like production in an industrialized type of way. That is costing money right now. But as Julien was saying, I mean, it is cheaper and cheaper. There are like more tools. It's really finding the right resources that can be difficult to do so, and finding the right process to be to remove from experimentation to operationalization. I think that's where really the cost is and where the main challenge is, in particular for the bigger games.
So where all those skill set, those new skill set, and let's go back to the creators, do you foresee any tasks or even position in a game studio and a game pipeline that would disappear or reduce drastically in the next few years?
Well, there are a few would change, evolve. Let's put it that way.
For sure. It's shifting.
It's shifting. I mean, like it's always been the case beforehand. By the way, I mean it's a forever evolving industry as well. So we're kind of used to that. But the way we're testing games, we were talking about QA. I mean, will be different in the future. Moreover, because we should assume that there are going to be less bugs. Because in the beginning, I mean, the coding will be more tested to start with, and so that's going to help like the whole quality process altogether. But then the testers and the QAs that we'll need on the back end of the game and will be way more specialized as well, and also like some of the tasks they're going to do, like will be more challenging. I mean, they'll really spend more time in finding like some sorts of bugs as well. So it will be evolving, and we can, for all the different fields of application in the games industry, for all the different jobs, I mean, there's like some sort of this happening. I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, to just jump to this QA part quickly, like all this part that are not fun to test, but there's the part that you should test. Is it fun to play? Let's say you don't have bugs and stuff, but your level that was automatically generated, your art that was automatically generated, the bots and everything. AI can be a component of everything. But at the end of the day, what matters is it fun to play? And AI cannot really test that. Like for AI, I don't know, is it fun or not? Like it's hard to say. But the people who used to just find bugs, now they can specialize. Like, how fun is it to play the game?
Here's my perspective as a creator, okay? And I'm old enough to came from the generation of Pong, okay? So that is my this is my first experience with how good a game was looking like Pong, okay? So we moved from black and white with paddles, okay? And this is the game industry we're living in, okay? So started with Pong, then we end up with from paddles to joystick, from 1 pixel to Pac-Man, then we moved to Donkey Kong, then we moved to slowly to Nintendo, and keep going on for the last like 50 years. In the end, the overall, I would say, is the job will change or disappear? The answer is no. My perception as a creator. As an engineer, I don't know. As managing like hundreds of people about testing stuff, maybe. But as a creative, I still believe that it needs to come from us first. The content needs to come from a human perspective first, before jumping and doing, statements are being made right now that I disagree, by the way, that we can make an entire game automatically generated for self-generating AI gameplay. Well, anyone who makes AAAs will tell you this. Good luck on that. Not going to happen.
I will say that I don't know if entire positions will disappear. I don't think we will need less people in the next 5
think
years.
so, yeah.
Certainly not. I think people need to be aware that it's not that important to understand a tool particularly. I think it's more important to understand what you want to do, what's your intent. That's the thing that AI cannot replace for now, that's intent. So I would say for people who are in school or starting their career in the video game industry is be aware that things will change, the tools will change, the way you practice your art will change, but what you bring to the table is actually the human part, the intent, the creativity, and that's what is safe for at least a few years.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a balance between man and machine that will shift, where the threshold was 100% human for a very long time. And now we can start seeing like this kind of threshold being a blend and a mix of our relationship with data. So again, mocap is a good example. Very, very good example. Concept artists used to have something that they were photo bashing, taking pictures, putting them together, painting over a little bit, and that was a concept art. Now we are in the realm where I can draw something, I can put it in motion, I can put it alive, do a previs with it, give it to the realization team, and they fake gameplay out of it. It's still the same expertise that started this initiative. So I think the spark will come from the same department. I think the innovation part will still come from a human perspective. Going the other way, I think, is going to be a grave mistake. Some people will try, don't get me wrong. Money talks. Some people will say, like, what if we just we shuffle and randomize a gameplay out of a prompt, right? But I think we're galaxies away from this, and I think we need to maintain that human flame inside the process.
Excellent. We're at time.
Are we?
Oh my God, yes. We're at time.
That's it.
That was fast.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Merci.